What is up, weather enthusiasts? I'm your host, Pat's Path Predictor. Let's get right into the weather. All right, so here's the situation we have for you guys right here. We have more model runs coming in of that potential system, of that potential tropical storm or hurricane developing in the next few days or so. We're now 156 hours out from June 16th right here. And we're going to go ahead and start on the 17th right here. This is the 0Z run right here. We're starting to see things starting to organize on the night of the 17th into the morning of the 18th right here. This is now June 20th. Things start to develop, strengthens into a hurricane, crosses the Yucatan Strait right here, makes a hard turn to the left right here, and heads towards Texas, making landfall near Matagorda Bay once again. This is one of the more consistent runs I have been seeing all week this week, and this has been quite an interesting thing. Another thing I want to keep an eye on is this thing that's out here in the Eastern Pacific Ocean right here, which I've been continuing to monitor right here. It's been in every model run, and even other models have been picking up on that particular system over there, but we'll have to keep an eye on that as time continues to go on. First thing we're going to go ahead and show you is the 850 millibar heightened wind to see what kind of strength we're looking at with this. Once again, we're looking at around maybe Category 2 strength according to both the pressure and the 850 millibar winds. They're over 100 knots, so if you turn that into a mile per hour rating, that's 150 at 850 millibars. Reduce maybe around 10% or so, and then convert that back. That's basically what we got right there, which is about 103 miles per hour or so, which is Category 2 strength, if my calculations are correct right there. So that's the first run I wanted to go ahead and talk to you about. Next one we're going to go ahead and show you is the 6Z, and this is when things are starting to get a little more interesting because throughout all these runs, I've seen either a Texas option or a Florida option. I haven't seen very many in between, but I have seen this run developing right here, which does have it potentially making landfall in Louisiana and Mississippi right here. However, considering that massive jerk to the west right there, I'm less inclined to really trust that, especially with the GFS being over 10 days out right here. A more probable explanation would be basically this continuing further north up until the Florida panhandle, unless like there's a massive current or something or a high pressure system that jerks it to the west. But that's what we got going on right here. And this gets down to 960 as well. And we're looking at, if we take a look at the 850 millibar heightened winds of over 100 knots at 5,000 feet essentially. So potential Category 2 development right there. And this thing makes landfall in Louisiana, Mississippi, that area. And apparently it stalls over there for a few days right there, which I'm going to be honest, that's a bit unrealistic if you're thinking about that. Unless there's a massive high-pressure system right here that's over southern Illinois or something like that. You're not going to see that very often, and I'm not inclined to really trust it that far out. Where I am more inclined to trust is basically everything that's going on until the Yucatan Strait. Anything past that's really open season as that gets really far out into the future right there. And now we're going to go ahead and go to the 12Z. And this for the 16th, you see things starting to organize, develop, things start developing rather quickly. Then you get to the Yucatan Strait, potentially making landfall in Cancun right there. But this just hugs the coast of Mexico through most of its reign right here, and then makes landfall essentially near Veracruz right here, which I'll be honest with you, based off of everything I'm seeing right there, I don't think a path like this would be very, very realistic right here. I think a more realistic approach would be for this thing to start here, basically move through the Yucatan Peninsula like that, strengthen in the southern Gulf where there's a lot of warm water right here, 28, 29, 30 degrees Celsius, and then make landfall in Veracruz, not just this massive loop around unless there's like a high pressure system in around that area. I'm not inclined to really trust that at this point. I'm taking everything past the Yucatan Strait with a grain of salt. What I think is going to happen based off of what I've been seeing is either A, it is going to develop off the coast of Central America and develop to the north into the Gulf of Belize through the Yucatan and all that jazz right there, or B, it's going to cross through Central America and enter into the eastern Pacific Ocean and then start developing from there. Only time will tell what will happen, but those are my two scenarios for those of you who are wondering right there. So with that being said, we're going to continue to look at the global sea temperatures. Either way, it's piping hot, and these are record temperatures too, especially in the Western Caribbean Sea. We're looking at an even bigger area of 30 plus degrees Celsius over here, which that's 86 degrees Fahrenheit for those of you who live in the United States, and that is more than enough warm water to cause this thing to develop. Ocean heat content looks absolutely incredible for tropical system development right there. Over 100 in a lot of these areas. So you're probably wondering what's limiting this. Well, the shear is once again the issue right here. My main issue isn't when this area right here. My main issue is kind of this area right here, and I'll explain why. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the wind shear report right here, and yeah, this does not look good at all. However, it could always enhance the outflow if it's far enough out. But then you have this thing starting to organize and develop into the Gulf of Mexico. I will give credit where credit's due. If it does end up taking that southern route, it will be in a lot less wind shear right there, which could leave it to a possibility of things really starting to go off and all that if it does stay in more of a southern route right here. And I've been noticing over the last few days or so, the wind shear in the Gulf of Mexico has started to drop considerably. Let's go ahead and go back to the 0Z to show you what I'm talking about. This is where we were at the 0Z. This is 1 a.m. on June 20th. This is where we're at the 6Z. You can see things really just start falling, just start collapsing right there. 12Z, once again, we're seeing a collapse of wind shear. At least it seems to be brief, but it's still there in the western Gulf of Mexico right there, which is something I find interesting right here, and that tells me if this thing really does develop in the Atlantic, the wind shear may not be as big of an issue as I thought it would be a few days ago. So definitely something to keep an eye on as time continues to progress. There are some other ensemble runs that are indicating stuff that's going on. We're going to go ahead and show you the GFS ensembles right here, and then we're going to go ahead and show you the European to kind of give you a gauge of what's going on. So this is the GFS right here. Here's the ensemble runs. A lot of the ensembles, like the ensembles right here, are split in two, essentially. Some of them have this thing developing in the eastern Pacific Ocean after crossing through Nicaragua or Costa Rica, somewhere around there, while the others have it taking a little bit more time to develop, but starting to really take off in the Caribbean Sea and the Gulf of Mexico right here. So that's the GFS system we're looking at. Now we're going to go ahead and show you the European system. We're going to go ahead and show you the 0Z since that's a little bit better, and that goes the furthest out. The European system is showing this thing kind of crossing into the eastern Pacific and maybe developing there, maybe into a tropical storm, weak hurricane, something along those lines right there. So that's basically what we got going on right here. We have two possible scenarios compared to where we were at this time yesterday. So we're going to continue to update you here on the Pat's Path Predictor channel. If you want to help us out, join Storms United Public, the Court's Discord server. Link is in the description down below. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Helps us out, helps us make more videos like these. The goal of this channel is to get more people engaged with weather. But with that being said, have a wonderful day, guys. Stay safe.